What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome with Tyler Stafford. Tyler, what's going on?
Not much, man. Got this fancy new camera for everybody watching on YouTube. I'm in sales in like my real life, and so I'm on Zoom all day anyway. And this was just an excuse for me to make an unreasonable purchase. So this is my Christmas gift. If you like the way that I look, or maybe it's a Christmas. I don't know what's the opposite of a gift. You take it away.
This is your lump
Whatever.
of coal. This is your lump of
This
coal.
is my lump of coal. That's what people call me.
Do you think the new camera setup will help you in your sales endeavors, or is it going to be a tough sled either way?
I don't know that it was hurting me before, but I do feel I don't like how much of my face I can see now. I'm very self-conscious about it now, and
Yeah,
so
showing people your face is never a good thing.
No.
Especially me. Again, I apologize, YouTube, that I look like this.
That's why I've always wanted to join the Jabberwockies, the dance troupe that has the cool face mask. Maybe Blue Man Group. I could do that too.
Blue Man Group is a life goal. Blue Man Group is a life goal. I don't really know what they do, but they get to be in Vegas a lot and they get to play sold out shows. So I would love that.
You know that it's more than just those four guys.
Yeah, be in Vegas for unknown reasons and make a ton of money. Sign me up.
You should work for the A's.
Not a Sacramento guy. That's the thing. I need immediate dividends. Like I don't want to stay in Sacramento for 3 years. Luis Severino. By the way, Luis Severino.
What was that?
You signed a 3-year deal with the A's. Like I kind of get like they paid you a ton of money, but like could you have at least gotten another year tacked on so you could pitch at least 1 year in Vegas?
He's getting traded like this year, right? I mean, that's the only reason that you signed that.
I don't know, man. The A's they're like the Astros just traded their best player. Like, who knows what the Angels are going to do? Like, the Rangers maybe. Like, you look at the A's, like Lawrence Butler's a guy, Brent Rooker, like Mason Miller. Like, they played really well in the second half last year to the point where, like, if that team in the second half played that way the whole year, like they would have flirted with like 75, 80 wins. Like, I'm high on the A's. Okay. As high as you can be on the A's.
There we go.
No one wants to hear us talk about the A's. They do want to hear us talk about a guy whose last name begins with A.
That was not one of your better ones.
Not one of the better ones. I was trying to, the Hayden Wesneski Texas transition
was great.
Was great. I was trying to live up to that expectation and I couldn't. But anyway, Nolan Arenado said no to a proposed trade to the Astros this week. This has been a saga that's been ongoing for about 8 to 9 days. And I'll tell you as much as I know. There's stuff I do know that I don't feel comfortable saying out loud right now, just for various reasons. A couple things that I haven't corroborated with more people, and a couple things that people ask me not to share, which is and I'm going to respect their wishes. But here's the gist of it. The gist of it is there were people in the Astros organization that thought as early as last Saturday or Sunday that the Nolan Arenado deal was done. That Nolan Arenado was coming to Houston. There would have been a trade that within it, the Cardinals would have eaten about $5 million per year of Nolan Arenado's $74 million salary. The Astros would have gotten him. He would have been their third baseman, shift Isaac Paredes to first, and you've got a pretty good little defensive infield there. That did not happen. Nolan Arenado has a full no-trade clause. He invoked his no-trade clause this week, blocking that deal to the Astros. However, it is not final. This is not final. I think a lot of fans, when they first saw the reporting this week that Nolan Arenado had blocked a trade to the Astros, their first thought was it was something like Nolan Arenado said, no, I don't want to play for the Houston Astros. For whatever reason, he thought that this was a team that he didn't want to play for. I can tell you that is not true. That is not what he is thinking, that this is not something to where he's thinking about, I don't want to play for this team. Nolan Arenado wants to see how the market manifests. He wants to see what else is out there. He doesn't want to make a decision this early in the offseason, and he's been afforded that right. He's got a no trade clause. He has full autonomy to direct how this goes. Now, why the two front offices negotiated a deal and had it, as one source told The Athletic this week, had this deal on the 1 yard line. Why they negotiated that without involving Nolan Arenado, who, again, has the ultimate say here, is a little bit curious, and I wonder why it went down like that, but maybe that's a different issue for a different time. Tyler, as you were kind of following this from afar, and I reported last weekend that the Astros were a pretty serious suitor for Arenado, and then to see how this transpired this week, kind of what was your takeaway from everything that you read and everything that you saw? And obviously we talked off air a little bit about some stuff that went down. What did you make of all this?
It has never made sense to me. It's a lot of money to pay for a guy coming off a rough year and, really hasn't looked great in a while. And I think my first thought, and it seems like most Astros fans' first thought, is why would you give Nolan Arenado money when you could just give Alex Bregman money? And I see from the Astros perspective, it's like, well, it's only 3 years. So, you can be flexible. You can make another decision at some point. But it never seemed like anybody was super excited, at least from the fan base side of things. Part of that is because, a lot of people really like John Singleton. It's a really fun story. You just traded for Paredes, and also, Bregman is still there. So I think until Bregman is signed somewhere, every fan is going to say, why would you not just sign Bregman? I think if Bregman signed a week ago with the Red Sox or the Yankees or, whoever, I think people would have been a little bit more excited. But, it doesn't make a ton of sense. At least to me. I don't know. What are you hearing from Astros people about why they were pursuing Arenado so hard?
So there's a couple things, and some of this is stuff that I've talked to people about, and some of this is just kind of informed speculation that I'm kind of hypothesizing. Presuming Framber Valdez stays on this team, the Astros next year are going to run out a 1-2 in their rotation of Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown. They are two of the most ground ball centric starting pitchers in baseball. It is imperative that the Astros have an elite defensive infield behind them. And Nolan Arenado, while you are completely right, he has declined the last couple of years. The offense has not been there. The defense still plays. He is one of this generation's greatest third basemen. He won 10 consecutive Gold Gloves. He did not win one in 2023, which snapped a 10 straight year streak of Gold Gloves. He's won, I believe, 5 Platinum Gloves. He is probably going to the Hall of Fame, not solely based on his defense, but his defense is going to be one of the first lines on his plaque in Cooperstown if he gets there. That still plays. And then you have Jeremy Pena at shortstop, who, aside from about a month last year when he was kicking the ball around all over the place and no one knew why, is an elite defensive shortstop. You're talking about, if you throw Nolan Arenado and Jeremy Pena on the left side of him, you probably have one of the best left sides of the infield in baseball defensively. And for what this team is going to be with Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown atop the rotation, that's imperative. I do know that the Astros are also intrigued by, Nolan Arenado plays with an edge. He's a nice guy from everything I've gathered and people that know him that I've spoken to, but he plays with an edge. He plays with a lot of intensity, and that's something that, quite frankly, has been missing a little bit from these Astros teams recently. And look, it hasn't affected them. I mean, you've seen they've gone to the playoffs 8 straight years, but this is not a team that historically has played with a ton of edge to it. And that's just not been their style. They've not had those kind of players. Now they've had some. Martin Maldonado, I think calling him an irritant is a pretty apt description. He irritated a lot of other teams, and he gave them that edge. Hector Neris had some of those same qualities. Let it spill over a little bit in Seattle a couple of years ago, but we're not going to talk about that. That I don't want to get back into that rabbit hole. But that appealed to the Astros as well. And, you know, a lot of people are wondering, and I had the same thing. I wrote this a bunch this offseason. Like when everyone was talking about, oh, like they could be on Willy Adames as their backup plan. And, oh, what about Nolan Arenado? And I kept writing consistently. I was like, if you're going to pay someone top of the market value to be an infielder, like why would you not pay that to the face of your franchise or one of the faces of your franchise in Alex Bregman? And I think, Tyler, one of the things that this shows us, and you can tell me if you disagree, one of the things that this shows us that the Astros had advanced this far in talks with Nolan Arenado, I think it signifies to me that they have moved on from Alex Bregman. That is that, you know, I think they're going to stick around in the market. They'll always be there if he wants to, you know, come back if he doesn't get the deal he wants. But to me, this really signifies that they are preparing for life without Alex Bregman.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly what it looks like to me. You don't, like I said, if you're going to pay somebody $25 million or whatever it is a year that Arenado would cost, you know, you're signaling like, hey, we've got backup plans. Now, maybe this is just 6D chess, and that's why they didn't bring Arenado. That's what I'm going to go with, is that they wanted this out here, that we had this trade in place. So Bregman gets scared that all of his Breggy Bomb salsa is going to go bad, and he comes back and films an HEB commercial. That's what I'm hoping in my head. But yeah, it certainly seems like they are preparing to not have Bregman.
Man, you just put a thought in my head. What are the HEB commercials going to look like next year?
I think it might be us. I think at this point, I think it might be you and me doing a commercial.
I want whatever royalties they get off of those. But I mean, to be honest with you, it was Kyle Tucker was a mainstay in them last year. Alex Bregman's been a mainstay in them since he came up. I mean, you'll have Jose Altuve, you'll have Jeremy Pena. Lance McCullers has been in them. I know that's a sore subject for some fans, but I think he'll probably be in them again. Who is your guess? Who's going to be the next HEB in the line for HEB commercial?
I mean, Pena is going to be the star of them. He's good in them. He had that cool like silk shirt in one of them. I feel like he already had that shirt. I think he showed up that day and they were going through wardrobe and they just saw, oh, you've already got this sweet silk red shirt. So, I mean, it's got to be Pena, right? I mean, I don't know who else you could do. Obviously, you know, you got a few people, but yeah, HEB is hurting. Old Herbert E. Butts is going to be struggling for business.
It's going to be tough. Maybe, and look, Nolan Arenado's a charismatic fella, nice looking guy. Like they get him, they could kill two birds with one stone.
Somebody call up HEB. Let's get this deal done.
Well, maybe that's gonna be what sways Nolan Arenado to waive his no trade clause. Because
has he had the marinated fajitas from HEB?
He needs to get the brisket. We need the brisket queso. He needs to get the take and bake brisket queso, and that'll sway him. We can get him one of the butter tortilla candles to put in his new Houston home. We've got it all planned out. This is why he should waive his no trade clause.
He's just got to talk to us first. I think. Do you remember when MLB decided that they were going to make up rivalries with every team to justify the interleague play, and they just decided that the Rockies and Astros were heated rivals? I think this is Nolan Arenado taking that to heart and saying like, no, I will not play for the Astros. Those are my biggest rivals as a former Rockies star.
The Rockies and Astros were such rivals they couldn't play on American soil last year. They had to go to Mexico.
International waters. Yeah, they're going to play on like a Navy ship this year. It's going to be 490 feet to center and 220 down the lines. It's going to be like Polo Grounds, but on a ship.
Speaking of, I want the Astros to play in that racetrack game. I don't know who's playing in it. They're playing a game at Bristol.
What?
Yes, you don't know this?
No. What?
Yes, they're playing a regular season baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway this year.
Oh, they should have cars going while the game is happening.
Oh, for sure. Like,
If you hit a car with a home run, you get a bonus or something.
And if you knock a window out, like it's an automatic double. Like I get.
I don't think they have windows. I think pretty famously they don't have windows.
Do they not?
No, they have the little.
They have the little cloth thing that you.
Yeah, we're big race guys.
And the guys can like that. Oh yeah, and then they jump out of the passenger side of the driver's side door, and then they go beat the hell out of the other driver if they crashed into him. It's a great time.
Most of what I know from NASCAR is from Ricky Bobby, so I don't know how much of that carries over. But no, I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, the Braves and the Reds are playing at Bristol in August. I
Okay.
imagine it'll be a balmy 110 degrees at Bristol Motor Speedway in the beginning of August. So the Astros will not be playing there. As we're talking about the Arenado Bregman comp, I think this is worth pointing out. Last 2 seasons, Nolan Arenado slashed 269, 320, 426. Alex Bregman in that same time frame, 261, 341, 446. The drop off between those two offensively is not as drastic as anyone thinks. And defensively, Alex Bregman just won a Gold Glove. He is a phenomenal defender. I enjoy very much watching him play third base every day. Nolan Arenado has won 10 Gold Gloves. He's the greatest third baseman of this generation. There would be zero drop off. You probably honestly get a smidge better defensively with Nolan Arenado at third base. So I understand the sentimentality from fans. I understand that you want Alex Bregman back. I understand that you have seen so many homegrown guys walk out of this organization throughout the past couple of years through this dynastic run. But I look at this and it kind of makes sense. It makes sense to me because and I think you hit on something at the beginning that is probably foremost in the front of the Astros' minds. It's 3 years of Nolan Arenado. If you sign Alex Bregman, he is looking for a deal of at least 6 years, probably more. You're only committed to Nolan Arenado for 3 years. Now, there is an argument to be made that Nolan Arenado is 34 years old. So you're going to be paying for his age 34, 35, 36 season. If you're that wary of giving Alex Bregman, who is 30 years old, a 7 or 8 year deal that goes into his age 37, 38 seasons, then I'm not sure why you're moving earth and wind to get Nolan Arenado in his age 34, 30. Like, it doesn't jive here. But also, there's something else. Who else are you going to sign to play third base? Like, if you really think that Isaac Paredes is not the guy that you want to play 162 games at third base, like, it's Arenado or Bregman. Like, there's that we know is available. Like, they're the two best options. Unless, you can put together a package that entices the Phillies on Alec Boehm, but Alec Boehm did not have a great second half, got benched in the playoffs last year. Again, but he is cost controlled. He's a younger guy. And
great hair.
Great hair. He would automatically probably become the best hair on the team. I'm trying to go through the
Fromber's up there.
Fromber's is good. I got to give LaGrassa his props. He is best position player here. We'll go with that.
McCullers has great hair too, which is annoying because he has terrible hairstyles, but he has great hair. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to criticize a man's hairstyle, but I prefer McCullers' hair short. Okay. I like the short hair.
Hot take.
It is a very hot take. If you aggregate anything from this podcast, please aggregate that. Please make that on MLB Trade Rumors that I prefer Lance McCullers' hair short.
Let him know.
So, but if Alec Boehm would come, that I really like the flow he's got going. But he's probably the only other, option, and we don't even know that the Phillies want to move him. That's just been conjecture here and there that they've discussed it and thought about it, but it's not for sure like Nolan Arenado. Like the Cardinals are trading Nolan Arenado. Like they have come out and said that on the record. Like we are going to do everything we can to move this guy. Like we don't know that about Alec Boehm. There was a connection, and I do know that they have interest in Jorge Polanco, who has played a total of 180 big league innings at third base. The options are pretty scarce. And I understand the vision. I understand that, if you get Nolan Arenado here, he helps you immediately in the next 3 years. And then you hope by that point, maybe Cam Smith's ready, maybe Bryce Matthews is ready. You've got a couple third base guys in your system that at that point, when his team control is up, you can just seamlessly go to someone in your system. But as I looked into it more, Tyler, like I don't know if they're not going to sign Bregman, and if they don't, and if for some reason they're not sure that Isaac Paredes is the guy that they want handling third base all year, like I'm not sure where else they go other than Arenado.
Does MLB have a third baseman crisis right now? I feel like growing up, I knew a lot of third base. You had your, obviously Scott Rowland. That's who I think of with Arenado. It's just a guy that's just unreal, like underappreciated. Arenado, I mean, you saw all these as soon as the trade rumors come out, it's like, oh, he's fallen off. Like, dude, this guy is unbelievable. Like Nolan Arenado is so good. I follow baseball pretty closely. I'm not sure that I could name 10 starting third basemen. And I don't know that that's true of any other position. Maybe that's just me, but we should start putting that out there. There's a third baseman crisis in baseball right now.
I mean, yeah, it's a shortstops game. I mean, you could probably name a ton of shortstops. I mean, because those are the guys that are.
We'll spend the next 10 minutes just naming shortstops.
Those are the guys getting paid. Third base, we always knew coming in it was going to be a scarce market. It was going to be, unless you were going to sign Bregman or unless you were going to trade for Arenado, you were probably going to get someone like an Isaac Paredes who has played all over the field. Even if you go to Jorge Polanco, again, has played all over the field, more of a utility guy. Even if you went internal, you'd probably go to Mauricio Dubon, who plays 7 positions very well.
What's Jose Vizcaíno up to? Could we dust him off and get him out there?
Is this a thing where we just start
naming old Astros? Yes, absolutely.
Astros from your childhood and just see if we can fit in.
What's Ricky Gutierrez doing?
I need to catch up with Tony Eusebio. We got to get Tony Eusebio.
He for real, when I was a kid, was one of my favorite players. I loved Tony Eusebio. I even have a screen name somewhere that I'm not going to tell you that is a Eusebio reference. I freaking love Tony Eusebio. That would be amazing.
If I'll make that my Christmas present to you, I'll try to work to get
Sean Barry and his pink bat. Let's get him back.
I mean, I would say Brian Bogusevic, but I see Brian Bogusevic like
Morgan Ensberg.
I see Brian Bogusevic like every other day during the season because he does stuff for Space City.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's something we can keep naming. We can keep naming old guys. How about Jose Abreu, former Astro?
Okay, yeah, put him at third.
Well, I do wonder honestly how much of, and I want to ask you this because you get the fan perspective a little more than I do, just from seeing this from a 10,000 foot view.
I have friends too. I think that's a big part.
Yeah, my friends aren't Astros fans, the few I have. How much of the outcry, rage, whatever you want to call it, of the Astros even being in on Nolan Arenado, how much of that do you think, how much of the Jose Abreu saga do you think impacts that? Because I've heard it from people in my inbox. I hosted a 4-hour radio show today with Matt Thomas on 790, and there was talk about, they're going to get another Abreu, like he's declining just like Abreu was. I think these are two totally different situations.
100%. I mean, anytime you're getting a first baseman, you have to have the bat. I mean, like you said, even if Nolan Arenado hits 240, if he's playing Gold Glove defense, he's still a very valuable player. And so even if the bat is falling off, which it's not like it cratered. He had a 101 OPS plus. He was a league average hitter with elite defense. That's still a really good player. It's not somebody that you necessarily want to give $25 million a year, which is why the Cardinals are wanting to trade him.
And to be fair, the Astros would not be paying him $25 million a year. The Astros
I don't understand how all of that math works. So walk me through it. If it had gone down, to the best of your knowledge, what were the Astros paying?
To the best of my knowledge, they would have been paying him around $20 million a year. They would have been responsible for $20 million a year.
Okay.
And as a reminder, you paid Jose Abreu and are still paying Jose Abreu $19.5 million a year.
Yeah. I think that the hesitation is less Abreu and it's more you don't want to give up on Bregman until he's gone as an Astros fan, right? Like it's just like you said, it's tough to watch your homegrown stars leave, especially coming from an Astros franchise that kept Biggio and Bagwell their whole careers, where you grew up kind of expecting that. Speaking of Biggio, there's your Rockies rivalry where he almost went to Colorado, but
didn't he get his 3,000th hit against the Rockies too?
Yeah, at home.
Yeah.
But I think it's more that it's just, you look at the team and they're still good, but it's essentially Altuve that is the core that has been here, for a while. And obviously that happens with other teams. But I do think the Astros fan base specifically, maybe got a little spoiled watching two Hall of Famers play their entire careers with the Astros. And so it's not fun to watch guys that you really care about and that you like leave because some rich person doesn't want to give more of their money. I don't care. Crane could sign it for $1 billion. I don't care that they're paying Jose Abreu. Like, who cares? That's not my money, and I'll never have that much money in my life cumulatively. So, I think that's the frustration is like, man, you have all these guys. They've been so good. Why would you not try to keep them together? There's no salary cap. Like, what are we doing? It's not like, in the NFL or in the NBA where you have to do calculus to figure out how you're going to structure a team. It's just, do you want to pay this guy more money than everyone else? Great. And so if I'm an Astros fan, I'm like, I love Bregman. He's been here the whole time. Give him whatever money that he wants, So I think that's probably more of where the frustration comes in. And I'm sure Abreu is there a little bit, but I mean, that happens like that. Gurriel fell off a cliff too. And it those guys are 40. Like that's going to happen. But like you said, Arenado, I mean, even if he forgot how to hit, he's still a really, really, really good third baseman who's going to make some awesome plays, and you're going to be excited, to have him.
Yeah. I think that is the thing that people need to grasp is that the defensive value he brings outweighs almost anything Jose Abreu even before he fell off. Like, I don't think people appreciate how good of a third baseman Nolan Arenado is. And I really
Which
don't.
Which is wild. Right. Like, he's so good.
Well, part of it is he played so long in Colorado. And that was not a team that was maybe Astros fans are watching and hoping that they lose because they're big rivals. But that's not a team that the nation at large was watching with bated breath. And I also think Astros fans have been spoiled too by having Alex Bregman at third base for the past 9 years. A really, really good defender. Guys, I'm not sitting here trying to pile on Shea Whitcomb. Please don't take this as a Shea Whitcomb pile on. You saw when Alex Bregman left that last game against the Mariners, when they gave him the standing ovation and they did the catered, bring him off, and Shea Whitcomb came into that game. You saw what happens when you have bad defense at third base. You saw what happens when you have an average to below average defender at third base. It is something that can cripple a team, especially one, as we've said, that is going to run out 2 ground ball pitchers for what they hope are 400 combined innings next year.
Yeah.
And it's something that, look, Nolan Arenado, the slug absolutely disappeared last year. He hit for no power. He slugged 394 last year. At least in 23, when he was declining a little bit, he slugged 459. He barely slugged anything last year. No extra base power. However, still had about a league average walk rate and still strikes out, 7 points below the league average. I mean, he's the kind of guy too. He's professional at bat. He will put the ball in play. Not going to swing it. Not going to swing at balls. Will swing at strikes. Like, the offensive profile fits. And I know people are tired of this, but he's a right-handed hitter coming into Minute Maid Park. Like, he'll have a short porch. Like, the Crawford boxes can't hurt him. They will only try to maybe help. But I can't get on board with this being the same as Jose Abreu.
No, and I haven't even really heard that, at least from people that I talked to. I'm sure on the internet people are saying that, but I mean, that didn't really cross my mind. It, like I said, it feels more Bregman related than Abreu.
Yeah, and I think, as we've covered here, that the drop off between, like, you're going to get elite defense from both of them at third base, and then you look at the last 2 years, the difference in the offense is negligible. Like, it is not this dramatic drop off.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where this eventually goes. Honestly, I think Nolan Arenado is probably going to wait until Alex Bregman makes his decision, because once that happens, the third base market, whatever is left of it, will really crystallize. And then Nolan Arenado can have a little bit clearer head, probably make a decision. And I think the Astros will still be involved. They are continuing to stay in touch. This was not a hard no forever. This was a no for now. And so we will be with you later to see if for now becomes a bigger thing or what have you. But someone will play third base for the Houston Astros in 2025. We will both watch this person play third base for the Astros in 2025, and we will be on Crush City territory to talk to you about how this person is playing third base for the Houston Astros in 2025. This has been a fun one. Appreciate all the love we've gotten for this podcast. 4 episodes in, it's been more than I thought we'd ever get. Please, if you could, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the red button right below the video, rate and review us on Apple. Give us 1 star if we deserve it. Give us 5 stars.
What are you doing? Don't do that.
Give us 5 stars if you like Tyler's face. It can only help, but any publicity is good publicity. So rate and review, subscribe.
Strong disagree.
Give us 5 stars. How about that? Give us 5 stars. It can be your collective Christmas present to us, a 5-star review. We will be back, presuming no news happens between now and then. We will be back after Christmas to talk to you guys to see what's next for the Houston Astros. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.